conflict between House Steiner and House Davion rages on.
Was it smart for the Archon to hire mercenaries to deal with the bandit army on Carver Farm?
Kelly knows that once the bandits are dealt with, the mercenaries will pull out.
Hello and welcome everybody to episode number 49 of the First Circuit podcast. Today we have Biter.
Lord.
And also we have Aethermech as our host tonight.
Hi-yo.
So tonight's topic, it's going to be a little bit different than we normally talk about, but one of the things is we want to do something special for episode 50, and so I'll get into that in a second. We'll also be talking about the test server and some of the statistics of what they're going to be doing for the test server, and that's about it really. So let's go first into talking about episode 50. So are you guys excited about episode 50?
I mean, it's a number.
It's a number. Okay, so I'll get into it just a little bit. So we're going to have, from the community, from you, the viewers, 2 to 3 guest hosts, and we'll be actually sitting in with us during the recording to go and give your opinions and everything else about the game, about anything about the game, and just anything in general about anything. So just if you want to be part of the host, just give us go right in the comments down below and let us know, and then we'll go and pick you guys from there. And then also taking questions from the community as well. Anything about the guest hosts, about us, who we are, just different things, the game, how we got into the game, what we play, like just anything you guys want to go and ask about the First Circuit podcast and the hosts themselves. So that's pretty much one of the things that we'll be doing for episode 50. I try to get the from PGI and Harebrained Schemes to get someone, even the janitor, but I guess the janitors are all busy right now, so I couldn't get anyone from them. But if you guys have any suggestions also for episode 50, let us know in the comments down below. So, any comments from you guys?
Nope, that's about it. Just leave some comments at the bottom of this video and see what happens next week.
Exactly. We're kind of like playing by ear here. So,
questions are good times.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Questions are good times.
Questions are good times. Yes, definitely. Next up, we have the public test server. This is interesting. So, have you guys done the public test server yet?
No. So, I mean, I did the previous public test server, but starting on July 27th, they're doing another round with the public test server, trying to balance out clan lasers and a few other things, actually, in this next balance pass that they're attempting.
Yeah, they're re-upping the damage on a handful of the lasers. They're tinkering with the cooldowns, range, and duration on some of them. And they're also looking at hacking down on some of the defensive quirks that are on some of the IS mechs.
Do you know exactly why they're actually doing this kind of stuff, though?
The feedback from the previous PTS, and then some of the feedback from the complaining on the forums about IS defensive quirks being too strong, and that if you don't take maximum tree with the defensive quirks, then you're wasting your time with the mech.
Well, it's generally like with every other type of mech that's out there. You got to take the survival tree. That's what I normally do for like about 80% to 90% of my mechs.
Well, there's on the inner sphere side, since we touch on that first, is take for example the inner sphere light mechs. The most common ones you'll see around is like the Wolfhound and the Irby, most of the time, because they have a huge amount of armor quirks, which of course get a very large percentage buff with the skill tree, making them incredibly tanky. Whereas if you're choosing equivalent alternatives, so you have some armor on the Spider, for example, but the Javelin has a bit less structure, and the Poor Osiris has even less. So it's like a lot of the times, a lot of these mechs, for light mechs in particular, for example, only those with the survival stuffs really get played. Like we can sort of see this with the Firestarter Solaris Hero. That has almost no survival stuff and just a little bit more agility, making it feel like it's made out of paper. Whereas the regular Firestarters, even though they've got a lot of structure, they're still fairly tanky. Like, it was funny, I had a match when I was in the Street Clops, and I managed to get 710 damage on 2 Firestarters.
Jesus.
Those guys were pretty tanky, and they were using the Ember, which I think has the standard fire-started survival quirks. But yeah, mechs like the Raven, for example, another 35-ton mech, just cannot stand up to firepower like the Firestarter or the Wolfhound. And people love the Wolfhound, of course, because it has armor rather than structure, which means it is effectively worth a lot more, and it's way it takes way longer until you're actually starting to cut into their components.
Now, like
It's a better damage pinata.
Yeah. Now, like, do you think that with the armor quirks that these mechs do have, are they reminiscent to lore? Because I don't recall actually having like some of these mechs be lore equivalent of like tanks, basically. Like compared to like other things.
So theory-wise, at least from what I've seen, brushing up on Battletech stuff, the Wolfhounds were considered some of the most dependable mechs in the game.
Yeah.
In the background story. So it kind of makes sense to make them a little more durable, to keep them from breaking down. But translating, how the mech's supposed to feel on paper into a first-person shooter is kind of, well, how do I make the round peg fit in the square hole?
I'd say, if you're playing, for example, BattleTech, a turn-based game, you could see somewhat what mechs have only 1 ton of armor spread all over the place and have almost max armor, spread all over the place. Jaeger mechs, for example, they are pretty fragile, but they have a lot of firepower. Jenners have a lot of firepower, but are armored like paper, etc.
Hey, don't make fun of the Jenner, man.
But those are mechs that are going for a lot of firepower for their tonnage, and aren't going so much for armor. Whereas even in BattleTech, because you're able to change your builds, you'll strip out a lot of the very weight-inefficient weapons and use weight-efficient weapons and max armor, because it's more important to, actually survive and have a tanky soldier on the front line rather than having a tonnage-inefficient weapon. You might as well, instead of having a large laser, you just put in 2 mediums and a whole bunch of armor and just get close instead.
I think what I'm going to is that why just give it to just the Wolfhound and the Irby and a couple other specific necks, like besides a Raven, type thing to give them all like armor quirks.
In regards to the patch notes, they do actually describe, of course, that mechs are given survival stuff to help them with their geometry, and generally with IS as well, they are more often given survival stuff to give them a more tankier feel, because their weapons aren't so much about upfront damage, but rather damage over time, and so they actually need to survive a bit longer to do damage with their weapons. This makes sense for mechs like the Orion, which hasn't got very good high mounts. It's all of it is quite a knuckle dragger of a mech. It has to expose itself quite a bit, and it's quite a big target where it's relatively easy to shoot at certain components. It's not like a Marauder that just needs to sort of twist a bit to the side, and now you're hitting most of the side torso. Onion struggles a lot harder with spreading damage reliably, like a Marauder would. The thing is, though, this is all done very much on the fly, and obviously different hardpoint loadouts and different mechs play completely differently, particularly after new weapons and all this, that, and the other. The mechs that they are reducing the survival stuff on are mechs that are already doing pretty good, and that's because they have good shapes and they have good survivals. So the Annihilator is a 100-tonner with very good shape, and it had the same kind of survival stuff as a King Crab. Now that has been pulled back a bit because the Annihilator not only had, fairly good mounts and good shape, it also was one of the tankier 100-tonners. And now they're even reducing it even further because the Annihilator still has a great shape and good mounts.
Yeah.
Bushwhacker as well is, one of the tankiest 55-tonners in the game, and it's performing very well as a consequence. The Cyclops Schneefeneer, that had only a bit of structure here and there. I think that's just a mech that's solid in and of itself.
I think they're stripping that back more due to the heavy Gauss shenanigans that are going on with it, because it's overperforming in their eyes.
Yeah, the thing is, of course, it's got extra structure. So once the structure is exposed, the heavy Gauss rifles usually blow up fairly quickly anyways. So I'm not sure how much, but the Cyclops, Hero, the Annihilators, and Fafnirs can all do dual heavy goose and perform very well, particularly since they are very heavily armored. The other thing that they are talking about why they're doing this is like these mechs with a huge amount of survival stuff, the Bushwhacker, Annihilator, Fafnirs, they all have top tier, or at least a lot of them have very top tier level survival stuff, but they're also very solid mechs in and of themselves. And if Clan are having their damage reduced, Clan are going to lag behind just these really tanky IS mechs. And so what they're wanting to do is sort of change the base level by reducing the outliers. So just like how they're reducing the top performing Clan laser vomits, they're trying to reduce the top performing Inner Sphere tanky mechs.
Well, yeah, I definitely do agree with you.
Yeah, my impression given the patch notes. Obviously, though, I think if we're talking about geometry, as I said, mechs like the Wolfhound, it's a fairly big target, and that's why it got survival stuff. But mechs like the Raven just they're there one moment and they're gone and never. Yeah, and they're so like they have a terrible profile, at least from the side.
Yeah.
They get side torsoed very quickly, oftentimes, and they are quite a big target. At least their torsos are. Their arms are terrible at shielding, and they don't get much in the way of side torso survival stuff, unless we're talking about maybe the Hugin and this, that, and the other.
I thought the 1.0 was all about laser vomits and trying to stop the 90-point alpha strikes compared to the inner sphere alpha strikes of like 67 points or something. And
well,
like this one's actually changing the like durations and everything else to kind of help that, all right?
Yeah. So one part is just the armor. They're trying to reduce the top performance for IS tankiness and Clan shootiness. That's what they're doing. We talked about the tankiness. Now let's get on to the Clan shootiness. Their initial proposed changes were to make Clan lasers do just slightly more damage than in the sphere. And I do mean mostly slightly. Instead of 5 damage, you do 5.25.
Yeah.
However, they still have the long durations. They still have the relatively high heat, which made them extended range inner sphere lasers, more or less, with a little bit of extra damage sprinkled on top, just a little, just to make you feel a little bit happier. Their proposed changes, I do actually quite like a bit more, because as I said, I felt they felt rather samey, and Clan lasers were already sort of they were this awkward spot of great huge alpha damage but also bad performance, and they just they took the alpha damage and just gave it extra bad performance, and I didn't like that. This time I actually kind of like the extra duration choice, because it means, at least it implies to me, they have a lot more face time, which gives other weapon systems like Daka and whatnot time to shoot back. It also means if you're getting hit by Clan Laser Vomit, you could twist it much more than you were able to before. The damage is still reduced, but instead of taking a 7 damage laser to 5.25, you're taking it down to 6.25. So instead of just sprinkling 0.25 damage on top of an inner sphere laser, it's 1.25, which is still a substantial amount, but it still has the relatively extended range, though I think they're changing it to be more in line with inner sphere.
Yeah.
But for me, I do very much prefer having longer durations. In fact, I don't mind the durations going up even a little bit more to give clans oomph, but it takes longer to oomph it out, and that would at least allow people to twist it, to run away from the lasers, this, that, and the other.
I do agree with you on the duration, though. Just like you said, it'll be it does a lot more damage, but you have to concentrate that damage in one spot, and so it gives, like you said, the inner sphere or whoever's like you're attacking more time to go in torso twist and spread out the damage throughout your torsos or whatever you're being hit at. And the clan should always have better weapons, no matter what to the inner sphere, like comparably. And now the only thing that actually made the inner sphere a little bit better was the armor quirks and the quirks themselves. They got a lot more what the clans do, but the clans didn't really need them because their mechs are so much better, which is fine. I don't mind that. But yeah, the duration's good. I definitely like that. The damage they're actually reducing, except for the heavy large laser, which they're bringing back in the 1.1 down at the same as what it is now. But they're giving a longer duration, which is going to hurt, and that's going to hurt big time because it already has a freaking crazy amount of duration already. But I do like the duration. That's a good aspect, and that's actually a good balance what they could go ahead and do that for. And Chris actually probably hit out of the park with this one. But of course, during the PTS, we'll see after the notes come out for it, though.
Yeah, I'm not a fan necessarily of the overall balance changes in this, that, and the other. Like,
Oh no.
there's some things like heavy large lasers have been restored to doing 18 damage in one go, and the only nerf they're receiving is an extra 0.2 duration. But they're already pretty long, as it were.
Yeah.
And this isn't. I mean, in my mind at least, it seems that the regular mediums and heavy larges were the biggest offenders for tonnage invested and damage output. By contrast, at least, the large pulse laser is getting a damage reduction of 2 and an increase in its duration by 0.11, I think. So, I didn't see Clan Large Pulse Laser as a huge offender.
No, it was a meta build. It was a meta build of heavy large lasers and the medium and the medium lit.
Yeah, but we're discussing the large pulse laser getting damage reduced and the duration increase.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see it as a big offender or as much of an offender because with large pulse lasers, at least, you have to invest 6 tons to get this weapon system, just like with the PPC. So whilst heavy larges require just 4 tons, I mean, they're a bit bigger, but 18 damage is a very, was already better than large pulse, which weighs 2 more tons. And the large pulse is now down to 10 damage rather than the 18 that a weapon you pay 2 less tons for is doing. Like, the heavy large lasers 80% more damage for 2 less tons. Why am I using a large pulse laser? It already wasn't being used for the most part. Why is the large pulse laser being shafted like this? Particularly, I mean, even just compared to the regular large laser, I think both of them are doing 10 damage each. It doesn't even have a damage advantage for the pulse laseriness. All you're getting is a 0.4 duration improvement for 2 tons.
Yeah.
And it still has the it reaches to 600, just a bit shorter than the regular large, but instead of going to double, it goes an extra 240, so almost like a third extra distance, a bit more than that. Large pulse laser already had its max range is horribly nerfed. Its damage is the same as regular larges. Its duration is a bit shorter, but only a bit than regular larges. There's just so little point to the large pulse laser with these proposed changes. I don't like it. Hardly had a point already, and you're making it really, really bad when it wasn't the biggest offender. The weapons that require more tonnage investment, like medium pulse, large pulse, are not the biggest offenders. It's when you can throw in a whole bunch of mediums and larges and have lots of heat sinks to account for the heat problems. That's the biggest problems in my mind.
Well, I guess we'll find out like after once Chris gets a hold of the stats and then go from there. Then there'll be uproar for something, and that's pretty much what's going to happen later on. But I mean, I like the changes they do for this though. Probably what you're talking about, probably not though. The heavy large laser given at 1.75 is going to definitely stop a lot of meta builds I've been seeing for the duration. Of course, I would have to test it out though. I haven't tested it out yet though. But
so the funny thing, at least, if you only increase duration, how does it affect weapons? Well, the damage per heat is the same as before. DPS is lowered because you're spending more time on the cycle time, or more time actually just firing before you start cycling. But because you're spending more time between shots, relatively speaking, it also improves your heat efficiency. And with the heavy large, at least that extra 0.2 seconds isn't the end of the world, honestly.
no.
You go out there for a 1.6 second burn, but now you're out there for a 1.8 second burn, roughly, so to speak. So, usually you're exposing for 2 seconds anyway. So,
well, from what I've seen, most people only expose for as long as it takes the ER mediums to cook off, and then they back off.
Yeah, at least in that regard, the heavy larges will have an absurdly longer duration than the regular mediums. Your mediums are stopping, was it like 0.4-ish seconds, a bit below 0.4 seconds before the larges. So you are going to have a much more difficulty, like getting the durations to fit together.
Yeah, getting the full burn on target's gonna be a little rougher than it was previous.
Yeah. I mean, I have mechs, the Eber Jaguar. I struggled making a build that was really fun on my own, and I eventually just went 4 heavy large lasers on that one, and it does pretty good. It's 2 volleys of 36 damage, like 72 damage, at 450 meters range plus range skills,
Hmm.
and it's a pretty good mech. And with these changes, I'll be sitting out there for a while longer, but it's just as good.
Okay. Well, hopefully they'll get some stuff going on for the or forgot the stats for it like in a little bit though. But they did say it's not going to be done until I think August or something like that, or the next patch around there. I'm not sure when or something, but who
We'll
knows?
see how long go running around the rosies on this topic until PGI eventually puts something through,
Yeah.
or eventually drops it. Who knows? I still think at least some weapons are going to be much bigger offenders than others. Like clan small lasers, yes, they do 5 damage, but I don't see them as the game-ending, ruining energy weapon of doom.
Oh no, nothing.
And nerfing the damage to 4.4, I don't necessarily see that as really justified. It just doesn't seem to make much sense to me. Just the small lasers, the large pulse lasers, those were not a problem. It's as I said, I think it's the medium lasers, maybe the heavy medium, but the heavy large as well. Those are the ones I feel that should have the most attention to. And their nerfs to large pulse, their nerfs to large laser, their nerfs to medium pulse laser. I mean, medium is a bit behind medium as well, but yeah, I don't think all of them. Basically, I don't think all of them were as bad offenders as others, and they're just sort of hurting the whole laser line when a lot of them weren't even used in the first place.
True. Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll see once Chris gets his stats out or PGI caves and doesn't do this. So it just all depends. So
as with one thing to note, at least
yeah,
for
go ahead.
those listening, the PTS is offering the same kind of rewards as last time. If you do 10 matches with at least 50 match score, you'll get another 2 billion sea bills and another Emerald Cicada Warhorn.
And let you know, 50 match score is walk inside the middle of the field and shoot something, and you got it. So just let you know, it's pretty easy
So
to do.
I think it was only running for a couple of days, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
when's it end? I think it's July 30th.
Starts July 27th. Doesn't say when, but of course I don't have that up
No,
though.
it's 27th to the 30th, so it's only 3 days them testing.
Yeah. So by the time this is out, it's done.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Smells about right.
Yeah. We'll have this out on Monday. It's up. It's already done. Never mind. Anyways. So, you guys have any more topics or anything? Or just a quick topic?
Not much else. I mean, I've been doing the daily challenges stuff, and I'd say, whilst it's nice getting some MC, C-bills, and XP,
Yeah.
it is a little drab having the same reward every day. It doesn't exactly grab me back, even though I am doing it every other day. I like at least they are relatively easy challenges to do. I mean, even the most puggy of pugs can probably get 300 damage eventually if they try.
Yeah,
It'll take them 3 matches.
Yeah, the same thing
more.
I'm doing too. The only thing to bring me back is just a 50 MC, and that's it. And like you, I'm doing it every other day because I can't jump on every single day and do these things. It just burns me out like crazy.
Yeah. I would like at least sometimes it's nice having ones where it's like over the whole week going on as well, where you have a reason to play more matches. It's like, well, I'm having fun with this build. I'll do a couple more and work towards the weekly challenge. And since at least we have a little bit of time, I thought it's just like in my mind, it's like a little bit of MC every time is nice, but at least for when I started out, I mean, this is just me. I really liked it when they gave away all that premium time because 50% boost on my C-bill earnings really helped me get all that stuff together. And so, at least for me, because when I had enough spare time, it's like I earned the premium time, and I play as much MWO as I have premium time available, and then I sort of step back and wait for the next event to give me premium time so I can play a lot again.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it is such a grind, at least to start with. I think obviously, at least the player base, the majority who are playing day to day are, old grey hats. Well, not grey hat, but old hats at the game, and so the premium time might not be so valuable, particularly if they're buying mech packs.
Yeah.
But still, I would like to see more premium time rewarded in these events, because it was fun getting like a week's worth of premium time and having a week's worth of MWO before going back to playing other games.
Now, do you think I think I brought this up one time. Do you think that actually, because the events are set up so say like there's like say the 300 missile damage one. I forgot what day it was. So everyone's using missiles, right? Everyone's using missiles and just lobbing freaking lerms all over the place. Do you think a randomized daily thing per person? So like you can have all these different events, but it's randomized or randomized for everyone. Yeah. So like, you might have 300 damage for missiles, I might have 300 ballistic, but it's still 12 days of doing whatever it is. Too complex, you think? Do you think?
I don't think PGI could handle it.
I think that'd be better, though, to tell you the truth, though. For the simple fact is, you don't have one day. It's like, okay, here's Lerm Day. This is going to be perfect. Like you can actually have, multiple people do different things. That way you don't step over each other to get those kills, or step over each other to do that kind of stuff.
So I do agree with you that like having random daily goals would be great. The problem is because it wasn't instituted when the game launched, I don't think PGI has the ability to put that into the code and not have it kill the game.
I think
maybe, yeah.
In terms of code, at least, like it already tracks individual progress towards different events. So tracking, it gives you an event, and then it can track your progress. It has somewhere on their files. They remember, for this event while it's running, record how much ballistic damage they've done. So they have the features in place to track what a player is doing. I think in the back end, though, they will need to do some work to have, it offer quests or whatever, like, in, what is it, Heroes of the Storm or Hearthstone, the Blizzard games, they have a new daily challenge every day, and you can store up to 3. This encourages people to come back, once or twice every week to, do all of their challenges.
Yeah.
I think that could be, very feasibly done, but it would take a little bit of work with coding, and it's a huge departure from their usual event system. And it just might not be worth for the time internally. But I think they do at least have individual player tracking of progress for all these things. So the tools are in place. It's just all the back end code that would need to be figured out.
I mean, come on, they did Solaris. They spent 6 months doing Solaris, and no one does Solaris. So I figured they got some time now, right?
I think that's what's missing is the will.
Yeah, probably so. I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah. Some of the things they've done just seems like they had a great idea when they started it, and then they got halfway through and decided it was too much work and went with the easiest way out.
They are always at least improving their event system. Like with the last patch, they made it so they initially their event system didn't cover all modes. So if it's to get X amount of match score, in over the week, you couldn't earn it in Solaris. That kind of means it disencourages people from doing their Solaris thing, which eventually they patched in, and now they can have events for certain each and every game mode, and they've made it so it's not just specific weapons, but it's ballistic weapons in general. They're always patching and improving the event system. So there is somebody spending a bit of time each month improving this event system, and I have to give them credit for that. Definitely. However, of course, a huge refit like we're talking about, it's a bit beyond just spending 1 week out of every month having one guy doing some extra code and patching the game up.
Yeah, true. Okay. Oh my god.
All right. Have we got any other things?
I think that's it. It's a short podcast actually. There wasn't much going on in Mechwarrior Online, Battletech as well. Bob? No.
I don't know.
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just been silent for a long time.
Oh, damn it. Okay. Well, at least you're gonna hear me on the podcast. So
I wasn't ignoring you more than usual.
no, basically, like I was talking, like, oh, okay, you just talked to me. Like, okay, well, oh well. So I guess it was because, well, it just wasn't going on. Like, I could see my audio going on, but not, I guess, talking in Discord because there's some stupid thing going on here. Oh well, no big deal. So I think that's it. Yeah, it was a short podcast, a very, very short podcast. Wasn't much going on. Mechwarrior Online, BattleTech, I think, had a patch, but I didn't really read too much like into that. Yeah, that's about it, really.
I used to go to the BattleTech forums, but of course, it's me moved to Paradox and searching for Paradox thing. It's a little more effort than I used to, and I can't be bothered anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, just make it more easier, man. Come on. So, yeah, so for episode 49, for this episode, if you want to ask questions of the First Circle podcast, of any of the hosts and everything else, go type in the comments down below. And then also, if you want to be a guest on episode 50, let us know, and we'll go ahead and contact you, and then go from there. We'll take 2 to 3 people, and go and join us for the First Circle podcast, be part of the community and everything else. I am Old Bob, Blarg, and then we have Biter.
Grob.
Oh, damn, I want you to say Blarg. And we have Aethermech. So thank you for watching, guys. We do appreciate what you guys do and watch us, and well, not watch us, but actually hear us drool on about Mechwarrior and Battletech, and we all do appreciate that. Thank you very much, and we will see you on the battlefield.